that your mom?
No. No, I'm here by myself.
Oh yeah, why'd you come?
To keep President Trump in. And also, I mean, there's not a whole lot I can do as an individual, but I would think to make sure that both sides stay peaceful.
What do you think is going to happen with this election, and who's going to win?
I believe that there is going to be a lot of bloodshed, and there's going to be a lot of stuff to come.
Breaking news is first at 6 o'clock. A Colorado man facing charges for his alleged role in the assault on the U.S. Capitol has just turned himself into authorities. 24-year-old Robert Gieswein is now in the Teller County Jail.
I mean, I just do a lot of personal training on firearms and stuff. Yeah, I have a militia in Woodland Park, Colorado, the Woodland Wild Dogs.
This was posted by others from his now-deleted Instagram page, along with photos of shooting activities.
And I'm also a survivalist, and most of my people in my group are hardcore survivalists, and that's what I rely on.
What do you think of this? How easy would it be to survive here in the city? I hear you need the Yelp app to find out which restaurants are open.
Yeah, I'm not a city person, so it's overwhelming for me for sure.
Gieswein was arrested for assaulting a federal officer, destruction of government property, entering a restricted area, and disrupting Congress. Around 1:37, Gieswein tries to push through the police barriers,
then entering the building through a window. Gieswein is named as associated with a right-wing militia group called the Three Percenters.
And Robert Gieswein, who's also with the group throughout the day and is wearing patches suggesting affiliation with Proud Boys and right-wing groups.
I gotta get one of these.
Well, truly, what I believe in is, as an individual, you need to get a group of people in your communities that you can rely on, that you could fight with if you needed to, that you can survive with, that have certain skills in any situation. Even if you're in a city, you have to have different skills on how to survive in a city.
And Gieswein sprays police with an unidentified substance.
But I think that the government is completely corrupt, and that we've sold our country for, over 100 years now. We've sold our country out to the Midwest, or the Middle East, I'm sorry.
So since the advent of petroleum, we've been...
Oh, well, absolutely, because...
So you see petroleum as having been the major cause for us to sell ourselves out?
So petrol in general, any type of oil products, it's nothing to do with the oil itself to sell us out. It has to do with other people selling their oil in their countries for other currency other than the U.S. dollar. And the high-end elites don't like that. So they end up sending in mercenaries, and those types of people get killed. And it's completely corrupt. You can't live your life free in America, where it's free. The whole point of us building this nation was to keep from having a tyrannical government, have limited government, be able to have a representative republic that represents the people of the United States, and not the people that represent the government, or whichever. I believe that people need to be able to do whatever they want to do, and accept any consequences that may happen because of that. And law enforcement doesn't need to be forced to enforce those laws.
So what sort of what does freedom mean to you?
Everything. If you do, if you're doing meth on the street or in a corner in your house or whatever, if you're not hurting anybody, if you're not stealing from people, that should be okay. You shouldn't be incriminated for doing something that you're going to inevitably do anyways.
So if you want to harm yourself, you can.
You can harm yourself no matter what. It's
now, what if the city has to pick up your harmed body and care for you?
See, that's different.
Who pays for that?
Right, that's different. I don't believe that anybody would pay for that, other than we've paid into our government with taxes for over 120 years now, especially with Social Security and stuff like that, which apparently it's dried up. There is no Social Security. I'm paying for my mom's Social Security. That makes no sense. I do believe that the US dollar is completely made up and phony, and it's used to control people. If people can't barter in a society, if I can't trade you a 6-pack of beer for a hot dog because I'm starving, then that makes me enslaved.
Well, I mean, the real value is your skill set. What can you fix? Can you fix, is that your bike?
Yeah.
How much of that can you fix?
I'm sure I can fix it. Fix all of it.
You can fix all of it, all right. So
Yeah.
you can fix bikes. You have the tools for that.
Right.
All right, what else can you fix? Can you fix your cell phone?
Well, I have everything on me that I would need to be able
As
to
a
do.
survivalist,
Right.
you have enough skill to be able to live outside of needing to buy a 6-pack of beer.
Right. But what I was getting at, okay, so say we're in the woods, we're surviving together. You've got some grub worms you found in a tree that you were going to eat, but I've got this pine cone that's really shiny. I want to trade you this pine cone for those grubs. Well, you want to make a monopoly on our little society we have, so you come up with $1. And you say, no, you can't trade me that pine cone because the value's not there. I'm going to give you this phony baloney dollar that I made up, but I'm only going to give you enough that you're barely going to be able to get something from me.
Now we have a system where we specialize in stuff. Like someone in that office on the 5th floor is good at tax law. They don't have any skills like yours. And eventually...
Yeah, well, taxation is theft, no matter what.
All right, let's take another example. You have someone on the 5th floor who knows how to program a computer.
Okay. Well, with that person, unfortunately, when it truly comes down to it, their skills don't help them survive as an individual if stuff were to go down. I believe that it is paramount to being a human being that we have instinctual type training. There's a reason why we get scared during the dark, and that's because we used to be prey items for a long, long time. So there is a leftover anxiety that we get from being in the dark. So you need to know how to protect yourself, or at least make yourself feel comfortable that you might be able to protect yourself if something were to happen. In any situation, if you're starving, if you're thirsty, or whatever.
Most people are in jeopardy when they're in the daylight. That's when some of the predators see you.
No, I'm talking about being Neanderthals and back in primitive humankind. We were hunted during the night, especially.
How do you know that?
I mean, there's fossil records and stuff.
Hunted during the night?
Well, no, just to prove like that they were within their domes, their dorms and stuff, and not out and about hunting like they would be found during the day, because they were always out.
That's why they built doors to caves.
No, they didn't have any doors like caves. It took a long time for them to come up with any type of... I mean, we were basically monkeys for a long portion of being Neanderthals, and we still have some resemblance of Neanderthals.
So we survived by being cooperative. This guy wants to admire you.
We survived by being instinctual.
By being instinctual. Right. So does the instinct necessitate our cooperating or being competitive?
Both. It depends on if you're a person with a lot of civility or civility or whatever, and you just bow down to control and domination and what you're told, or if you're a person who is going to do what you want no matter what, and make sure that you live your life according to what you believe you should be doing. But in the same regard, there is no reason at any point that you need to tell somebody what they need to be doing in their lives.
So the way we've been able to organize this city is by unleashing the creative and labor of a lot of different people. That's how we're able to build civilizations. Right. No other species on Earth has been able to do that.
Exactly. And I believe that that's almost cancerous, and that's a personal opinion. I think it's very cancerous, and I think that we're ruining a lot of perfectly good opportunities that we have to continue to thrive and move forward with technology, but also respect nature and kind of live off of, certain moral stances. Like, maybe you shouldn't go buy your meat from the grocery store all the time. Maybe you should grow a couple of vegetables in your house during the year.
So you're concerned about maintaining the environment in its natural state. And you see, when you talk about petroleum, you see fossil fuels as unleashing a gas that has caused the earth to warm, to cause it to become unstable.
I don't believe that. That's loud. I believe that. Sorry, where were we at? That distracted me.
So, global warming, you were going to say that it's not a problem.
Okay, so I don't believe that gases being polluted into the air are affecting.
We're talking about carbon given off by fossil fuels.
Right. Carbon
dioxide and
emissions or whatever.
Particles from coal burning.
I don't believe that actually affects the earth at all. Because for the sole reason that we have been hit by so many meteorites through Earth's history. I mean, the moon smashed into us. That's why it's within our orbit, and that's why it has giant craters on it, just like on our Earth, is because the moon smacked into us and it got stuck within our orbit. It was a ginormous, almost like a twin planet to Earth.
What does that have to do with global warming?
Because what it has to do with it is with all this different things, volcanic eruptions, it's producing a lot of carbon, CO2, all these different gases to be pumped into the air. And all that happens on Earth is that it adjusts to those certain things. I'm pretty heartless. I don't necessarily think that the human race needs to survive through eternity. I think that we live our cycle and maybe something else will end up happening. I mean, just like the dinosaurs or whatever else.
So you think we can go extinct and that would be the nature of things?
I think that would be karmatic.
What do you think there's a drive to live in human beings?
Yeah, it's instinctual survival, and it is something that's being lost more and more through society because we're training people that they need to be reliant on a government, or they need to be reliant on a medication, or they need to be reliant on the news media to tell them what they need to think because they can't think for themselves.
Now, what do you think of this COVID thing? Do you think it makes sense to try to help people survive it, or do you think you should let it take its course?
Well, in what regards you think masks and stuff like that? I don't believe that because back in 1920 we had the influenza outbreak. And we were doing everything to keep our face covered and do like herbal masks and stuff like that. It didn't help the pandemic back then, and then we moved to 2020.
How do you know it didn't help?
It didn't. There's records from 1920.
What kind of records?
But in 2020, people are wearing masks, and influenza is still just as high as it's ever been. Why are the masks helping and influenza is just as high?
Well, the places where people followed the instructions, like China, they were able to eliminate.
But their people are enslaved.
Not eliminate, but they cut it down. But they're what?
They're enslaved. It's a communist country. They have to abide by the government.
Yeah, they followed that, and not many people died.
It comes back to what I said earlier. I don't believe anybody, no matter who you are, needs to tell me what I need to do. I don't think that I need to listen to what you're saying just because there's a pandemic that has a 1% death rate.
A 1% death rate in general, but like people who are 65 or older, maybe your grandparents have a much higher percentage rate. How much are you willing to let them die from COVID?
Okay, so if your grandma or your mom or whoever is in a nursing home and she's mentally ill or she's sick or something like that, would you rather her sit there in isolation without having any human interaction except for with scary people with masks on their face? Or would you rather have her be able to have you come visit her and coddle her even if she were to get sick? Because you're going to be able to give her those human interactions that humans need to be able to socialize and interact and grow. And that's why our new generation and my generation has been lost, because we are so self-entitled and sucked up with social media and mainstream media that Nobody can think for them. They don't think that they can think for themselves.
Listen, thanks so much.
Yeah. What was your name?
Eddie.
Eddie. I'm Bobby.
Where are you from?
I'm from Colorado.
Oh,
I
that's
was
right,
born in
Colorado.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. All right. Well, enjoy your stay here.
Yeah. Have fun. Be safe. Okay.